When you take a look at it, World of Tanks Blitz is filled with many tanks. And as a new player, or maybe even an older one that didn't play for a very long time, it's hard to understand which tanks are worth getting or keeping based on their tiers, the kind of class, etc, etc. So in today's video, I'm gonna propose to you 2 tank destroyer from tier 8 that you definitely want to try, to keep, and hopefully to love. Without any transitions, let's talk about the RHM Waffenträger, a tier 8 free-to-play tank that you can acquire if you are looking to get to the Grill 15 from the German tech tree. So why is this tank in this list? In my opinion, first of all, it combines everything you expect from a good tank destroyer. It's mobile, but not to the point that it can be qualified as a medium. It has a really hard hitting gun because you get something like 600 since the 9.1 nerf. And on top of that, the camo rating is just incredible. And I could tell you that it's a whole aspect of the tank, and the whole personality of the tank is based on its camo, because with this tank you have access to the greatest camo at tier 8, and of course if you use it wisely you will be a nightmare to your opponents, because in my opinion that camo allows you to be where your opponents least expect you. Take a look at that Chimera, for example. He was probably not expecting a tank destroyer to be to the middle of the map, waiting for him to poke around from the distance. And this is exactly where your advantage is, and exactly where the fun begins. Because basically, with an RHM, you do have the possibility of being where people least expect you. And if you do so, you will be having some great fun. For example, look at the position I'm taking right now. I'm on the middle of the map. Of course, I'm not alone, because it's also important to know your limits. The RHM doesn't have any armor, and everybody knows it, which means that everyone will try to snap some HE shells on you, which means that even if you have 1.2k 8 hit points, in reality you will not feel like 1.2k, you will feel like 600-700 at max, because of the HE alpha damage that pretty much everyone will shoot at you. But I'm on the middle of the map. Why am I doing so? Because I know that my camo is gonna help me. How? Basically, you have 15 seconds of reload with your RHM, which means that if you snap a shell and hide, your camo will reset, because you get spotted for 10 seconds and after it restarts and you need to get spotted back, except if you're on the vision range of any tanks. But if it's not the case, it kind of resets. And basically, if you use that reset camo that you're kind of forced to because of your reload time, you will always be a ninja to your opponents, because they will never know where you are. And not knowing where you are, you do have a great advantage. You are the one that will create surprise and not the other way around, which results in you being able to snap some shells, get 2 kills and a 3.6k damage gain. Now, of course, you can enrich it like I did with mine, even if I do not encourage you to do so, because in my opinion it's not worth it. But the RHM is definitely worth checking and also keeping, because this is the kind of tank that gets nerfs and buffs from time to time, so you can always have some new fun with it. Now the second tank, the ISU 152, which is, in my opinion, one of the biggest symbols of World of Tank in general, and obviously of World of Tank Blitz. If you take a look at it, this tank doesn't necessarily have the greatest stats ever. The mobility is okay, the armor is inexistent, so you're probably thinking, why, if this tank seems not to have anything, is it on the list? Because of its gun. I'm gonna tell you, in the future updates of World of Tank Blitz, it seems like Wargaming really wants to reduce the impact of some tank destroyers, and this is why we got the nerf of the grill, etc, etc. But with it comes what seems to be a nerf on the alpha damage. The only tank that will remain untouched are the one that lead to the Object 268, so the ISU 152 that you're currently seeing, and that, by the way, is available in the Russian tech tree. and pretty much every tanks that only relies on a great gun. For example, the Jagdpanzer 100 line, or even the FV1A3, but only the FV because the rest of the line is not made for it. But we're not here to talk about that, we are here to focus on the abilities of that gun. What, in my opinion, makes the ISU-152 great, beside the gun, is the fact that it's Russian. If you are a new player, you will probably soon enough hear the word biased or baya. I truly don't have a clue how we say this. And it's basically an expression that World of Tankers are using to describe the RNG you get using the ISU-152. This tank is insanely insolent because of that. Just take a look at that. For example, I snapped my shell straight into the WT without even bothering aiming at him. This is what I call being efficient. And on top of that, the tank you're seeing right now has an incredible chance of having a big gun mantlet, which means that you will have, from time to time, enough luck for you to snap shells or to receive shells, to get hit by shells straight into your gun mantlet, which will result in bounces from your opponents and obviously multiple people raging. So in definitive, what the ISU-152 has to offer is not necessarily skill or anything like that, because if really we're talking about statistics, it's not the greatest tank ever, but it's a whole experience. In my opinion, the ISU-152 is a whole vibe, and if you use it wisely by staying a little bit behind, far away from the direct fight, and knowing when to push, when to stay at your place, you will have a lot of fun. For example, here in this game, at the beginning, I tried to snap my shell. I saw that I didn't have any possibilities for me to go through, so what I did is waiting in the back, waiting for those snapshots, the one we got on the WT, the one we got on the 704, and you basically have between 2 and 3 of those shells per game, making it a great and hilarious tank to play with. But of course, if we're talking about Tank Destroyer, the best one will be the premiums, because I mean, it's a pay-to-win kind of game, and they have to make money, so they are obviously going to sell you something that is better than what you can get in the tech tree in order for you to buy it. So obviously, when it comes to premiums, you will always find better tanks. I'm talking about the Scorpion G, for example, but we could talk about many others, SU-130PM, etc., etc., WZ-121 GFT. And basically, I wanted here in this video to show you tanks that will still do good without necessitating you spending any money from your wallet, because after all, if you get really into World of Tank Blitz, you get in it for the tech tree tanks, for the tier 10 tanks, and not necessarily for the premiums. Otherwise, it becomes quite toxic, because it's going to be a toxic relationship between your wallet and World of Tank Blitz. So this is my really small top of the tanks you should own, in my opinion, from the free-to-play tech tree branch in World of Tank Blitz. Maybe yours is different, and if it's the case, feel free to tell me in the comments. I would be curious to know what my subscribers think about this little top, and hopefully I'm gonna see you soon for a new video. Bye!